the channel. We're at Long Eaton house and it's finally finished. We cannot wait to show you the finished product.
So this project, guys, has took a long time. It's been over 12 months since we started. We've got so much to show you. There's so much to tell you about. I think it's best that we sit down and go through it all.
So this was a 4/5 bed house and we've converted it into an 8-bed HMO. Bit of this project, we had like 2 early hurdles with it really. So buying it to start with was just a bit of a nightmare for us. It took a really long time to get a few things going and the property just over the line and ours to start with. So touch and rough for that bit. And then once we got through that stage, which seems like a point where you can celebrate that you've actually got the house and got the purchase, we then had to go to committee for planning. Because obviously we were going through change of use, so we had to go there, and that was just another hurdle for us, wasn't it really? So another setback. So before we even managed to get in the property and start doing anything, we'd already got a couple of months kind of behind us, just waiting for things and waiting for answers and movements from the first people.
Yeah, so from the first interaction, we'll already be on 12 months now since me viewing the property. It took about 8 months to complete. And then it took about 4 or 5 months for us to get our planning permission back. So, 13 months in, and we've not even started any sort of conversion or refurbishment works. So just a little bit more detail about the planning procedure and perhaps why it took a long time is this was a standard residential home, which is use class C3. An ordinary smaller than 6 bedroom or 6 and smaller bedroom HMO, or 6 and smaller persons HMO would be C4 use class. We were going straight from C3, skipping out C4 to sui generis use class, which is literally Latin for a class of its own, generally some sort of commercial premises. However, if you go to 7 persons or more HMO, that is sui generis use class, and full planning permission is required because you're going through a full change of use. So initially getting my head around that and trying to onboard the correct people as well took a lot of time. We onboarded an architect that was extremely expensive, and at that point in time I was trying to learn all the different rules and regulations that are assigned to and go with jumping from a residential property to sui generis. And there was a lot of learning, a lot of differences, a lot of regulations to understand, even though ultimately it wasn't my role or our role to do so. So the planning process took a long time. We finally got there and we literally watched on webcam a bunch of people talking about whether they're going to grant access for our, grant us permission or not. And that was nerve-wracking because I was like, what the hell are we going to do if they just decide no, if they're hungry and have a bad day or whatnot. But we got there.
Then we had architects and was it building control initially that put some setbacks because of the change of use. Obviously loads of more regs and stuff come in, don't they, for fire, noise, lobbies, burn times, doors. There was, and I guess what I always say is true style for you don't do things by halves. Not only has this been a massive build project, but there's been so many things that we've had to take into consideration for the build to make it safe for the tenants, I guess, haven't we?
Yeah.
So that was a massive thing to just go through, wasn't it? And we'd done the rooms, hadn't we, originally with the architect, and then we'd had building control saying we had to make the fire lobbies. So we had to kind of rejig and redesign a bit then, didn't we, as well?
Yeah. All of which we'll show you about on the floor plan. We had to introduce fire lobbies.
What is a fire lobby? Explain fire lobby.
So a fire lobby,
really
essentially, I think for us, is we need to protect the staircase, given that it's an escape route, fire protected escape route, and we had to create lobbies which are literally corridors, fire door, all fire protected, in bridging a bedroom and a fire escape route. So you'll see them on the floor plan that we put up now. Initially, each bedroom had a fire lobby going into it, which ate into a lot of the floor space. We then got a little bit clever and optimised it and was able to use one lobby to feed 2 bedrooms. In one instance above, we've got one lobby feeding 3 bedrooms. But again, it's just an example of that regulatory compliance that we didn't account for at the start because of going through into sui generis. The regulations are just another level what we need to satisfy. We got there in the end, but it was a huge learning process.
So our next thing on our list was then to find a build team. So we've got everything sorted, our plans and everything, and that was our third massive hurdle then, wasn't it? With things that were just going wrong and slowing us down. We were joyful property developers at the start, all excited for our project, which we probably are again now at the end, isn't it? But like reflecting through the journey. Yeah, do you want to explain the build situation?
Yeah, super wobbly start, like Lora said, 3 hurdles, almost 3 absolute fall downs, but we survived the first 2. The next thing was to get a build team, like Lora said. I immediately felt like we lost a lot of time based on the fact that planning took a while, and really rushed into this process quite unwillingly, very inexperienced and perhaps naively, to be honest. We instructed a build team who we now know not to be competent at all, under very strange circumstances as well, which I've not advised. They essentially lived here on site, which was very problematic, and when it came to us making the tough decision to having to ask them to leave and down tools. So that, looking back on it now, was incredibly stressful, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think we just didn't know whether to keep going with them and giving them a chance and seeing if the project moved, and obviously it was costing us more money, or I think eventually we came to the cut point, it was around Christmas time, wasn't it, where we were like, it's better to just down tool, get a new team in and have to wait a little bit longer than carry on and just be uncertain all the time for the rest of the build.
Yeah, within our industry, a lot of people say the only thing worse than no tenant is a bad tenant, and I feel like that's also very much transferable. Probably it was better for us to have no build team in on site than a bad build team in on site, because ultimately it was quite dangerous and it was costing us a lot of money and progress not really getting anywhere.
Done, yeah.
So we had to ask them to down tools, and we then, I say unfortunately, we got some local tradesmen in to help, but again we rushed into that, to be honest with you, because I was constantly worried about the time pressure, about not having income and not being income producing. You see all these magical YouTubes about people taking like 6 months to flip into a full renovation and conversion on the house, and we had already surpassed that amount of time and was nowhere near. So I then pretty much had to manage trades, not something I ever set it out and intended to do so. Just another hurdle, guys. Another
managed trades again, really.
Another hurdle. That was so time intensive. I'm not going to say babysitting, but managing trades who are just on top of each other, and there's timing and sequences that cause delays, and no one's responsible for the cleanliness or tidiness of the site. Managing the logistics of getting materials here, one, paying for and being in charge of the materials anyhow means that the trades typically don't care if they're efficient or waste the materials. Just again adds another layer of cost. So more hurdles within that one hurdle. There was a lot of learning, such steep learning, and I definitely call it learning because in these projects that we've now started since then, we're doing it right. We're starting with the right mentality, the right process. We're not rushing into it. The right contracts, the right communication given from us to them, and instruction, which will hopefully mean to the right, correct development on the back end. But yeah, I would say that this project, to be honest, whilst there's been a huge margin for us, and which means room for error, and it's still been a fantastic project, we probably did a lot of things, if not everything, wrong the first time, for sure.
And that's why normal people just do a flip on a 2 or 3 bed house, not an 8 bed sui generis HMO.
Yeah, so our advice would be to either start smaller or, to be fair, jump in and pay for a mentor. Because ultimately what they do say is correct, and I agree with, is you pay either way. You either pay with your mistakes, which is what we've done for sure, or you pay a mentor to guide you the way. So incredibly steep learning, but those 4 hurdles were the biggest hurdles of my life. But we did get over them. From there, it was relatively straightforward, still very time intensive, some other niggly bits for sure, but we've managed to get a lot done, haven't we, Lora? We're a reel for everything we've done to the property.
We've basically back to bricked it, haven't we?
No, basically about it, we have.
New electrics, new plumbing, obviously added 7 bathrooms, full paint, decorate, we've had render, plaster, all the different soundboarding, drop the ceilings, we insulated some of that underneath the floors.
I think the only thing we haven't done is put in a new kitchen, which we had resprayed, and this is a really nice, I'm looking round guys, sorry, because we sat in it, if you couldn't tell. It's a really nice bespoke kitchen, like incredibly hardware and well fitted to the room. So we contemplated getting rid of it, which throw in some before and after pics. Lora hates the tiles that I picked.
They're bathroom tiles.
So what?
So are the other houses though, I think. I picked them.
So yeah, that's probably pretty much the only, and the windows, we haven't changed the windows.
Yeah. And then that's just taken ages, I feel, that chunk, hasn't it? And then the last few weeks have kind of flown by, haven't they? With just like finishing up the painting, carpets, flooring, respray of the kitchen, us furnishing, we're using Hinkley Homes furniture packs. We've staged it all ourselves. We've got a lovely Sam behind the camera filming us today, and we've got a photographer coming shortly. Amazingly, we've got tenants. If you've been following our journey in our weeklies, you'll see that we've had 2 projects running at the same time, a 6-bed and the 8-bed. Both of them are being let by the same company. And in 2 days' time, the tenants are moving in. So it's been slow, and then the last bit has just been so fast, hasn't it? Just us finishing off, and it looks like everything's just ended up timing really well and great for us.
Yeah.
So there has been a silver lining to the end of our journey.
Well, it's a huge light at the end of the tunnel, like Lora just said, alluded to. The tenant we've got set up in place are an organisation that not only want to tenant our properties but want to grow a partnership with us. They want to take on these properties, and we've got some under development and on the way to us right now. They're going to be taking them on as well, not only paying a really handsome rate, but the value for us is the fact that they're incredibly strong tenants. They will look after the property, they're obliged to do so, and that's something that we really find important, is that we don't just want to have a great cash flow, obviously we do, but we really want the asset to be protected and looked after. A really valuable tenant is also one that is not going to take too much of our time to manage going forward, which I think we've really nailed with this particular organisation, and we're really happy with it. So a huge steep learning curve. We've been through a lot. It was the first property of this magnitude that we've jumped into, so the next ones are just going to get better and better. And I think we can see that because the second project started 6 months ago and it's finished the same time. The third project started 2 months ago and it's going to finish in 2 months, which is even bigger and better than this. And we've got more on the way to us, so exciting for us and where we're headed. You guys should stay tuned, follow us, drop a like. What is it, Lora?
Like,
share,
subscribe, download, send it to your mum, dad, gran, put us on your postcards.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, guys. Stay tuned and we hope you enjoy the video.